Hi folks, welcome to my Terraria tutorial. This is how to set up a console server part 2. In part 1 I had demonstrated how to forward your ports, how to set up the rules in the firewall, and we tested it using an external IP address and everything was hunky-dory. And now this part I will show you how to actually customize and configure the console server. So the console server is a very lightweight, non-graphical server component that was added in version 1.3 and enhanced in version 1.4, which is the current version that I'm running right now as I record this. And here it is right here in the Terraria folder, and I will get started here in a second. But the nice thing about this is it's very lightweight, doesn't use a lot of resources, and don't need a graphics card, a 3D graphics capable card to run it. And you don't have to have Terraria running in the background sucking up all the memory. So, without further ado, let's get started customizing this guy. Okay, first things first, we need to get to the Terraria folder, and that's buried very deeply under Program Files, Steam, Steam Apps, and Common, as you can see right here along this path. Now, I'm using Windows 7. If you're using 7 or Windows Vista, this should look very similar. If you're using XP, you want to run Explorer or My Computer and navigate to your Program Files, Steam, Steam Apps, Common, and Terraria folder. And this is what you should see. Okay, now that we're here, and if you just want to get up and running in a jiffy, just go ahead and run start server, and that will start a very basic non-customized server, and I'll show you what that does. So go ahead and click on start server. Console window runs, and you can choose a world map. I'm going to choose 2, my test map, hit enter, and now we can set some of these settings here. 8 for the default. I'm just going to hit enter for the default. The port has to be 7777, so leave that as a default, hit enter. Let's say I wanted a password. Let's put GG, good game. Now the console loads up the map. And if the map has already been created, then it doesn't take very long. And now here's the console waiting for connections. That's all there is to it. And now I could connect to this if I wanted to. Go run Terraria and connect, and I'll be in the game. So the map is actually loaded and running. However, part of the fun of having your own Terraria server is customizing it. So let's get out of here, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so let's get down to some customization. First thing we want to do is open up server config and take a look at this. It's a text file, so it should open up in Notepad with a double click. So essentially, when we run Terraria server, we can pass these settings to it, and we'll do so in this config file. And then when we run it, the Terraria server, in a shortcut, we can tell it to load a particular configuration file, and that's this right here. So let's take a look at some of these settings. Max players, we can set the number of maximum players on the server at one time. The value must be between 1 and 255. I do not recommend any more than 8 unless you have a super mega computer. Here we can load a world automatically and start the server. So if you already have a world made up, we can activate that world automatically with that setting. The port number is the listening port that we forwarded to the computer. You want to leave that alone. We can set a server password. We can set the message of the day. The world path right here is where your worlds are going to be stored. Auto create equals 1, 2, or 3. If this world cannot be found, the automatically loaded world, let's say it's gone, it gets deleted or something, then you can have the server auto create a new world, and you can choose the size. World name equals the name of the world that you want to use if it does actually happen to auto create a world. So again, if it can't find your world, it's going to auto create one that's going to be the size of it, and it's going to give it that name. And then ban list is a list of players that have banned from your server, and I'll show you how to do that later. So those are the settings. There aren't that many, but it gives us a little bit of control to make things a little more interesting. Okay, now that we are armed and dangerous with new knowledge, let's apply it and set up a nice custom server. So what we want to do is make a copy of server config so we don't screw this one up. So right click on server config, choose copy, right click here, white space, and click on paste. And you should have this nice copy here. Now I'm going to rename that to test. So that this test file here is going to be used as our configuration for our new test server. So go ahead and double click on test, and let's make some changes. Okay, let's just go right down the line. Now this number symbol here means that particular setting is commented out. So we have to remove that, otherwise it's not going to be activated. So we're going to set max players to 8. That's perfectly fine. Now we want to load a world automatically. Now here's where we need to think about some things. Do we want to use a world that's already created, or do you want to create a new world? So if you want to create a new world for this exercise, let's go ahead and give this a new path. Now this is important, so you may have to take a look and see what your path is. You can make any path you want, but I'm just going to use the default for Windows 7, which is the username. So it's users, username, my documents, my games, Terraria, and this is exactly where Terraria stores its world files. But I'm going to throw in the server here, so it's going to be Terraria server. I want to keep my server worlds separated from my Terraria single player worlds, so I'm going to throw that in there. So now what's going to happen is we're going to generate this server, this world, in this folder. I'm going to have 2 folders, one for my Terraria regular games and then one for Terraria server. So we'll get back to that in a minute. Now let's check the port number. Port 7777 has to be set and left alone, because that's the number we forwarded in part 1 of this tutorial series. The password we can change, so we can I'm just going to put in GG, good game. Set the message of the day, and the message of the day will be kill all spy bunnies on site. Yes, they are spies, by the way, and they are KOS in my servers. Okay, sets the folder where the world files will be stored. This path should be the same as this one. So I'm just gonna, I was gonna copy and paste, but it might be faster if I just type it out. Super lab rat. That's lab rat with administrator privileges, by the way, if you're interested. Okay, so user super lab rat, my documents, my games, Terraria server. It should match that one. It does. Now, if this file, if that world is not around, we want autocreate to create a new one. I'm going to go with a small world. And if autocreate does indeed have to create a new world, I'm going to give it a name. And we'll just call it test world. Ban list, you can just leave that alone for now. The ban list is actually going to default to ban list. I'm going to have a global ban list file. You can do this if you want and say, well, let's have this one called test. This is my test ban list for test server, but I don't recommend that. I recommend just leaving this alone and inactive, and by doing so, it's automatically going to use the ban list.txt file if it finds it. That way you have a global ban list, because if someone's a dink on one of your servers, they're going to be a dink on all of them. So there's no sense in keeping separate ban lists, at least in my opinion. So anyway, there is the configuration. Very simple. We are ready to save this and give it a go. Okay, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. We're not ready to go yet. Let's close this down, and now what we need to do is create a shortcut and then pass the configuration parameter to that shortcut. So the way to do this is we want to start up Terraria server. So right click on Terraria server and choose create shortcut. Here's the shortcut. I'm going to rename it so I know which server we're going to start with this shortcut. This is going to run the test server. I'm going to right click on that shortcut, go to properties, and then here in the target you should see that. Go to the very end, hit space right after that, the quote, the double quote there, dash config. This is the parameter where we're telling Terraria server to load a custom config file, and we're going to type in test.txt, the test.txt configuration file that we just made, because we want it to load up those custom cool settings. Hit apply, OK, and we're back here, and now we can give it a test run. Okay, remember, since this is the first time we're running this particular server, let's open up test. This world does not exist yet because we just told it to create it for the first time. So it's going to see this, going to try to load it and say, oh, well, geez, it's not there. So let's go ahead and auto-create it. It's going to auto-create a small world. It's going to give it the name test world, and it's going to do it in that location. Let's give it a go. Ready? 3, 2, 1, fire it up. Now it does take a second to generate the map. Well, more than a second. That's a hyperbole. More like 24.9 seconds. It's adding shinies. We like shiny stuff. The underworld, creating the dungeons, settling the liquids. Did I see planting weeds? Saving world data. This is exciting. This is more exciting than playing. All right, not quite. Okay, so now our server is running. It's listening on port 777, waiting for connections. 7777. I left one out. Let's take a look and see. If you type in password, it's going to show the password. And indeed, we did set that up in the configuration. Type in MOTD, and our message of the day is there. So it looks like everything's running. And now let's run Terraria and connect. Close that down. All right, let's run the Terraria client. Shut up and dig Gaiden. All right, so I want to go to multiplayer. I want to go to join, and just like you would normally. I'm going to do lab rat, purple hair. I'm going to type in localhost here if you're on the same computer. If not, you want to type in your IP address. Now, we already tested this in the part 1 where we did the port forwarding and all that, so I know it's visible to the outside world. I'm just going to use localhost, it's faster. Enter the port number. Found the server, GG. Receiving tiled data, that's good, here we go. And here's the message of the day. Kill all spy bunnies on site. I can do that. Whoa, look at that. Iron right at the spawn. Awesomeness. And there we are. We are on the server. She be running. I'm going to minimize this and go take a look at the server. And it tells you right here the IP address of the person connecting, and it says LabRat has joined. And we can send messages to LabRat, etc. And I'm going to do that in the next section where we talk. I'll show you guys what the commands do and how to use them. But I just wanted to get that done. So we're connected, we're good. I'm going to disconnect for now. Exit. LabRat has left. Oh boy. Goodbye, Steam. Trying to peddle me some more games. I have enough games. Alright, so that's that. So now that we know everything works, it's all hunky-dory, let's go take a look at the location where the server was stored. Now it would have been under my documents, not the server, the world. My games, and here it is. See, it did indeed create the folder on its own. That folder was not there before. And here's our world, world 1. Did what it was supposed to do, works as advertised. Now I'm going to reconnect, and we're going to do some stuff with the commands. But let me just show you the list first. If you type in HELP, that spells help. And it shows you what you can do. You can see a list of the players. You can clear the console window, exit, exit, no save, save, kick a player, ban a player. You can show the password, change your password. These are all very self-explanatory. The one thing I wanted to do was show you the ban list. So let's head over to the Terraria Steam folder. And the ban list is not going to be here by default. This is actually one that I've created earlier. The only way you can get this ban list to be generated is through the game, through the server console after you ban someone. And thank you to Welsh Pixie for setting me straight on that one. It was driving me crazy trying to figure out that ban list. I was creating it in a text file and putting names in there. It didn't work, and she straightened me out on that one. So thank you. So let's give that a try. I'm going to reconnect as a bad boy. I'll be Sam. Or Joe. Let's ban Joe. Ban Joe. Get it? Ban Joe. Alright, I'm going to join as Joe. I'm going to go to local host. Yeah, good joke. And don't lock up on me. Hold on one sec here. Okay, I'm back. Minor glitch with the window locking up on me. Okay, there we go. So GG, except I'm connecting as Joe, and Joe's going to get banned. Here comes the ban hammer, Joe. So current player is Joe. Let's go to the console window. Let's watch Joe get booted. Goodbye, Joe. So we can see, we can type in playing, and it shows us one player is connected with the IP address, and his name is Joe. Well, you know what? We're going to ban Joe. Get it? Ban Joe. And goodbye, Joe. Boom, gone. Banned from server. Bad boy, Joe. Joe can go away now. And let's go, let's just exit that. Let's go take a look at the ban list, which is generated automatically by the server. Pretty cool stuff. And it has the name of the person and the IP address. So now I am completely banned. In fact, since the whole IP address is banned and not just a name, I'm not going to be able to connect with any character using the local host anymore unless I eliminate this ban list, which I'm going to have to do. And we can take a look at some more of these commands. We can change the time of day. 4 different settings there. We can speak to players in the game. We can look at the port, time, blah, blah, blah. All pretty self-explanatory. All right, so now what I'm going to have to do is, obviously at this point I can, once this file is generated, the ban list, I can just add new people. And I can do Sam and whatever his, if I know his IP address. That's not going to work. But, well, you get the idea. But I don't want to be banned entirely from my game, so I'm just going to delete the ban list at this point. Now, if you want to have a customized ban list, you have to put it in here. So like I said, I would just use a global. And you don't even have to activate that because it uses ban list automatically. So that is how you run a custom server. That's how to set it up. That's how to customize it. That's how to run it. And that's how to administrate it. Say that 3,000 times fast. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. And, well, happy serving Terraria. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.